Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut too, and hopefully you like this video, hit that subscribe button. So I found something interesting to talk about here, and that's about AI. And that's the big thing now, and it's going to be the big thing now forever, is AI. And what does that have to do with this channel? Well, first of all, I would mention, once in a while I use AI to help me with the titles with some of the videos. Nothing wrong with that. I don't care. Sometimes you can't come up with an idea for a title, so sometimes I'll use it. And it is a good tool to use. My thumbnails are AI. If you see my thumbnails that I have for the channel, the background's usually AI. And but here is something rather interesting, like I said. So I found this from blog.google. How AI is pitching in at this year's World Series. This season, AI is stepping up to the plate, delivering real-time stats and smarter broadcasts to make America's pastime more engaging than ever. Okay, it's the bottom of the ninth at the World Series. Bases loaded, 2 outs, the pressure's on. Not just for the players on the field, but for the announcers and the broadcast booth trying to capture the moment for millions of fans. Broadcasters like Joe Davis and John Smoltz. Can we replace it with an AI broadcaster? That would be nice. Someone a lot less boring and more interesting. At Fox Sports, along with their production teams, do hours of prep work before each game to make sure they keep things interesting. But now they have a powerful new ace in their bullpen, Gemini. Fox Sports and Google Cloud worked together to build Fox Foresight, an AI platform built with Vertex AI. Fox Foresight was then trained on data from many seasons of Major League Play down to the smallest details. This allows the production team to ask incredibly specific questions and get answers in seconds. I mean, it is so fast. Sometimes the AI is so fast. I've used AI versions of players. I ask, I'll ask Grok, draw me a picture of Pete Alonso in a Red Sox uniform within half a minute. AI, give me a drawing of Juan Soto in a Mets uniform, half a minute. I mean, it is so quick and it's scary in that way. But I'm not afraid of it. I don't think, it doesn't have a soul. So we don't have to worry about, we still have to program these things. For example, if a certain left-handed hitter is coming up to bat, they could ask, who are the top 5 left-handed batters who played in this year's playoffs? Now, who was best in the 9th inning, and what about when the bases are loaded? Had they relied on traditional research methods alone, this kind of cross-referencing could have taken minutes or more, long enough that an entire inning might have paused by. But with Fox Foresight, this task takes seconds. That's what's so great about it. And you can put certain keywords into Grok or whatever the AI is. I've used Gemini too. You get them within seconds. It's helping even seasoned pros get a new handle on the game. Like Alex Rodriguez, a celebrated Yankees third baseman turned Fox Sports baseball analyst. Quote, it helps us spot the big stories like who's heating up, who's struggling, and which performances are shaping this postseason. Well, I would say you could probably notice that. And he's a pretty sharp guy, ARod. AI isn't just making the play-by-play better either. It's also become key to making the broadcast itself more reliable. Major League Baseball is responsible for delivering video and data feeds to broadcast partners like Fox Sports, its own MLB network, streaming platforms overseas, and native language networks, and others. It's a massive feat of coordination involving dozens of cameras, thousands of feet of cable, broadcast trucks, cloud-based and on-site servers, and large teams of engineers. To make sure fans don't miss a single pitch, MLB implemented its connectivity agent, nicknamed Connie, earlier this season. Connie's an agentic solution built with Google Cloud Services that proactively monitors the MLB connectivity and network feed, which are central to capturing and tracking the game on the field and delivering it to its fans. Connie now helps detect anomalies in the feeds and independently take action, helping prevent issues before they occur. With the benefit of agentic AI, Connie allows the technology team at MLB to automate its observability, detection, incident creation, triage, and resolution for any ballpark connectivity issues. This significantly improves reaction time and helps engineers stay focused on more strategic activities. I have no idea what the hell any of these things are. From telling more engaging stories to making sure the game stays on the air, AI is changing the way we watch sports, making every moment more fun and reliable for fans. Make the broadcast more fun is to get John Smoltz out of the booth. And quite frankly, Joe Davis, by the way. He's okay. But John Smoltz is the worst broadcaster in the sport. He's just boring and drones on and on and on. But anyway, AI is a great tool. And it's going to be huge, folks. And it's something we're just going to have to get used to. But I've been watching these weird videos of these bears attacking like children, and the cat chases them away. You know, a cat that's like, you know, a sort of a small size of the bear. The bear's like 5,000 pounds, and the cat's 10 pounds, and chases the bear away. You know, or a puma attacks the kid, and the cat chases it away. This is the kind of things I watch. But those are the kinds of things you can do. You can do all kinds of animation, stuff that looks kind of real. And you can write stuff. It's a great tool for all this stuff. But you let me know what you think about this video. It's a little bit different. You don't get this anywhere else. And of course, thank you for watching this video. Have a good day, and I'll see you later. Hi everybody, this is the Prospect Hut, and of course this is a channel dedicated for Mets prospects. We're talking about a bunch of Mets prospects here, so you need to hit the subscribe button, and of course watch the entirety of this video. It's from MLB.com. As you know, the Mets had a terrible season, terrible finish to this season, but the one thing they did not have a bad season with is their minor league system. Their minor league system had a great year. Two of the teams in the minor leagues won championships. Met pitching graduated to the majors, 3 big prospects. And we have other prospects on the cusp of making the majors. And this MLB.com article talks about that. Number 2 prospect, Benj, among young talent ready to impact the Mets in 2026. Not many minor leaguers did more to establish themselves in 2025 than Carson Benj. Following a solid start to the season at High A Brooklyn, Benj earned a promotion to Double A Binghamton and proceeded to go bananas, crazy. Over 32 games there, the 2024 first-round draft pick hit .317 with 8 homers, prompting the Mets to bump him through further up the ladder to AAA Syracuse. That's where Benj ended his summer. I mean, he struggled and he got hurt, I guess, a little bit. Through the course of the season, he's a guy that really found his stride. Mets Vice President of Player Development, Andy Green, said. Benj is an interesting player. He's a 2-way player. Just 22, Benj must prove more adept at AAA before the Mets will consider calling him up, meaning he's not likely to be an opening day option. But the team does figure to build its 2025 roster with Benj in mind. Mets officials may shy away from acquiring a center fielder on a long-term deal, knowing Benj could be ready for by mid-season. If all goes to plan, Benj could eventually give the Mets sort of long-term center field option they have sought for years. That's a problem. Center field's a major problem. They need to find a major league center field. I'm sorry. They can't be waiting for this kid to come up. They gotta get a major league center fielder. Relatedly, another recent draftee who could debut next year is number 3 prospect Jeff Williams. Williams' production dipped after a late season promotion to Syracuse, but he should begin 26 at that level. Since the Mets took him in the first round in 2022, Williams has shown a consistent ability to reach base and cause havoc once he gets there. Now in 2023, he had over 100 walks, which was the most by a Mets minor leaguer since David Wright did and had in 2002. So it's a long time, over 20 years. Mets team officials remain excited for his future, which could be at second base if Benj manages to lock down center and Francisco Lindor remains entrenched at shortstop. There's going to be a lot of moves. The Mets have a lot of moves to make on their infield, quite frankly. Next up is Jonah Tong. Don't judge Tong based on his 5 largely forgettable starts over the season's final month. Before that, Tong did enough to earn the Mets Organizational Pitcher of the Year award, producing a 1.43 ERA over 22 starts in the upper minors. Barring an exceptional spring, there's a decent chance Tong will start next season back at AAA. But he's now just a short run of success away from potentially sticking in the majors for good. Beyond Tong is another wave of pitching prospects who could make noise in 2026. Will Watson at number 11, Jack Weninger at number 13, Jonathan Santucci at 14, and Zach Thornton at 23 all reached AA this year, giving them the chance to follow the path Tong and McLean blazed this season. We'll be shocked to see any of those 4 in the majors at some point late next year. But we'll see. And finally, I guess, this is Ryan Lambert. That's 22 best prospects. Since the day the Mets drafted him in the 8th round in 2024, Lambert has profiled as a type of hard-throwing reliever who could rise rapidly to the majors. This season, the right-hand did nothing to complicate his path, producing a 1.62 ERA split between 2 levels. His 14.6 strikeouts per 9 innings was 5th highest of any minor leaguer to throw at least 50 innings. If things continue to go well for Lambert, he could join Jonathan Pintaro and Dylan Ross, the potential homegrown bullpen option, something the relief corps badly needs. Pintaro briefly debuted earlier this year. Ross came up during the season's final weekend, but never appeared in a game. This time around, both should be in the mix from the start of spring training. These guys have to do a better job of throwing strikes. The one thing about Dylan Ross is he's the guy that throws very hard, but he has to throw strikes. And the Mets need to build that bullpen from within. The best teams usually do that. It's difficult to import bullpen pieces, to be honest with you. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hut, and hopefully you like this video. This is a channel for Mets prospects. You need to hit that subscribe button. And, of course, watch the entirety of this video and like this video. And, again, we'll talk about the Arizona Fall League from SI. Mets prospects continue stellar start in the Arizona Fall League. Well, that's when you should mention that. New York Mets minor leaguers Nick Morabito and Chris Suarez have looked fantastic to start the fall ball season. See what happens. I've been seeing a lot of highlights of them in particular. They're doing a really good job. They've had a good season, both of them. But to start the Arizona Fall League season, the Mets still have a strong crop of minor league talent competing through the month of October and into November. 2 weeks, and the Scottsdale Scorpions have seen massive contributions from Mets prospects Nick Morabito and Chris Suarez, who are both coming off strong finishes to their 2025 minor league campaigns. Morabito's impressive stretch comes at a pivotal time as the 22-year-old outfielder is Rule 5 eligible this offseason, but is making a case for the Mets to protect him on the 40-man roster. That's going to be interesting because he will get picked up, I think. Morabito got going early in Sunday's game against the surprise Seguros, lacing a single up the middle from the Leo spot in the bottom of the first inning, following the base hit. The club's number 16th overall prospect stole both second and third before coming home to score the game's first run on a throwing error. I would mention, I expect the New York Mets' overall age to go down. I don't expect them to be as old as they were this year. I expect the team to be much younger, specifically on the position side. Nick Morabito and Chris Suarez off to strong starts in the NFL. Scottsdale exploded for 12 runs in the second inning. Morabito was right in the middle of that rally, getting on base twice with a walk and another base hit up the middle. He finished the game 2 for 4 of a walk and 2 runs while playing all 7 innings in center field before play was suspended due to a fire alarm. Oh, great. Is it because these guys are so hot? Yeah. Morabito's 2 steals in the first bring him up to 6 on 7 attempts so far this fall. The speedster stole 49 bases on 60 attempts in Double-A this season and had 59 on 74 attempts in 2024. Just huge numbers. In 6 games this fall, Morabito's hitting .391 with a double, triple, 2 RBIs, and 6 stolen bases. The production is far from an anomaly as he's coming off a stellar year of the Binghamton Rome Ponies where he hit .273 in 118 games. Before that, Morabito had back-to-back seasons with batting average above 300 and an on-base percentage above 400. He's not a big power hitter, just so you know. He's more of a table setter. Suarez, the club's number 15th overall prospect, was given the night off on Sunday, but has also extended his impressive end to the regular season into the AFL. 21-year-old is hitting 286 with 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 2 steals in 5 games, while splitting time between catcher, first, and left, and he's got a .619 slugging percentage. Like Morabito, Suarez is a natural base runner and had the most steals of any catcher in the minor leagues in 25, with 35. This athleticism has also allowed the Mets to try Suarez at multiple positions to get his bat in the lineup more often. The Bronx native has good power, which he put on display in September, launching 2 homers in his 5 postseason games, including a 2-run shot in the Rome Ponies' championship clinching victory. Suarez slashed .233 of 16 homers in 115 games between high A and double A this past year, and has proved to be a valuable prospect with tremendous versatility and speed to go with his developing bat. Very interesting. That's a big future. Morabito and Suarez's strong showings to start the AFL season is a great sign for the Mets' player development system, as 2 guys who started in rookie ball back in 22 have grown into legit top prospects. But Morabito's continued success will force a key decision whether the young outfielder will have a spot on the 40-man roster or be exposed to the Rule 5 draft. It could likely prove to be an easy one, as the Mets have a need in center field that likely won't be filled externally, since top prospect Carson Benz and Jet Williams are close to their big league rivals. But with Benz expect a long-term solution in center, Morabito could be a valuable trade piece for David Stearns, who will almost certainly look to make a few significant moves this offseason. Well, we'll see, but I expect a lot. I expect some of the Met prospects to get moved this offseason. And that being said, they mentioned this in this article. That being said, this could all change if the Mets choose to make a strong push with Detroit ace Tariq Skubal, who is expected to be made available this offseason. Also mentioned Freddie Peralta as well, the Brewers. According to reports, Nolan claims the only piece that the front office would not consider moving to acquire him, meaning Benz and Williams could be out of the equation, and Morabito will have a more defined role moving forward. Oh, he could be gone. If he's the guy that's on the bubble, he could get moved. Suarez could get moved. Anybody can get moved at this rate. Everything is up for grabs with the Mets right now. Have to build a better, tougher team to withstand the pressure of September. Well, you let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hut, where we talk about Mets prospects, and I got a whole bunch of stuff by the Mets and the prospects, because there's the Arizona Fall League going on, and quite a few Mets prospects are doing really well, like Nick Morabito, and of course, in this video, Mets catching prospect / first base prospect / outfield prospect Chris Suarez. And he's a guy to keep an eye on, because he is a high-energy player. From what I've seen of videos of him and just reading different things. But the MLB put this article out. Mets prospect Suarez keeps momentum going in the Fall League. Chris Suarez looked at the starting probables ahead of Saturday's Fall League contest, so that Phillies prospect Alberson Castellano was slated to be on the mound and knew one thing: it was time to lock in. The two shared some friendly banter before the game, but it was Suarez with the last laugh after he slugged a 2-run homer for Scottsdale during its 11-4 win over Surprise a Goodyear ballpark. The Suarez-Castellano showdowns officially date back to May 2024, when the two faced off at High A. They've met on many different diamonds since then, but one thing has held true: the Mets' number 15 prospect has found the 6'3" right-hander tremendously difficult to hit, going a combined 0 for 6 in their minor league journey across 2 levels. It looked their first Fall League encounter would go the same way. Suarez got tied up on an inside heater during the first inning, and then flailed on a low breaking ball. Quote, I kind of figured after those 2 ugly swings that he's probably going to come back with it, says Suarez. Now, Suarez's from the Bronx, so he's from New York. Come back with the breaking stuff he did, and Suarez exited stage left at 99.9 miles per hour off the bat for his second Fall League homer. After a regular season in which the 21-year-old swatted 16 home runs and posted a 141 WRC plus during his time with High A Brooklyn and Double A Binghamton. That momentum has carried over to Arizona. Through 5 games, Suarez has collected 7 RBIs and posted a 967 OPS, and third among all catchers on the circuit. He's got a chance to make the majors at some point, maybe next year, but he is a prospect, and like I said, high-energy guy. One of Suarez's defining characteristics is his defensive flexibility. He's already made strides in left field, at first base, and vitally catcher. Well, he joked on Fall League Media Day that I'll probably I'll play shortstop if they put me in at shortstop. The organization is undoubtedly intrigued by his development as his athleticism and in-game aptitude make him uniquely suited for the position. He's also fully bilingual, having been born in the Bronx before moving to the Dominican Republic as a teenager, where he signed out of in March of 2022 for just $10,000. So he's a very quick prospect coming up. If Suarez needs any insight on what it's like to put on the catcher's gear and get down in the squat in Queens, he looks no further than his own dugout during the Fall League. Scottsdale manager Rene Rivera spent parts of 4 seasons with the Mets, from 2016 to 2017 and 19 to 20, before embarking on a managerial career that has also featured a stop in the MLB Draft League. Quote, "It's truly a blessing to have a guy like that, a veteran, 13 years in the big leagues. Not everybody does that." He was a good catcher, Rivera. He's been helping me a lot behind the plate. We've just been working the last couple of days. We've been getting in the lab. He's been trying to help me out with a couple of things, made a couple of tweaks, and just kind of passing down what he knows to me. It's a true blessing to have him there. Over the past few years, the Mets have been aggressive in sending many prospects they believe to be part of their imminent future to the Fall League. Jeff Williams and Drew Gilbert headlined the 2024 group, which even included Jeff McNeil for a few games, while Ken Parada and Brett Beatty spent time in the desert during their time as top 100 prospects as well. So despite playing 115 regular season games plus 5 more during a Double-A Eastern League title run, when the Mets broached the Fall League as a possibility, Suarez jumped at the chance to potentially add another ring to his growing collection in 2025. High A Brooklyn, they were champions. Double-A Binghamton, they were champions. But he won the championship with Binghamton. And AFL Scottsdale Scorpions still to be written. The team is filled with a bunch of dogs. I feel like we just feed off everybody, Suarez said. It makes you a better ball player even without you realizing it. Just seeing the other prospects, a lot of good ball players. It brings the best out of you. It's a true blessing to be here. And he, like I said, he's got a chance to be a good prospect. He's already 15, but as you know, the Mets had the best farm system in baseball, according to a lot of reports. And he's one of these guys the Mets could have him here at the end of next year or year after that, or they could trade him, put him in a package. He's got a lot of value. He really does. And the fact that he can play behind the plate, he can play first, he can play the outfield, very athletic, he has some speed. He's got some power. He can do a lot of different things. He's got a lot of value, and that's what teams are looking for: players that have a lot of value. And he's one of them. He will be a major leaguer. I don't believe that for no reason. There'd be no reason why he won't be a major leaguer very soon. Well, thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Yo, host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. One of the things that I'm very interested in is what's going on at Citi Field and the neighborhood, because it seems that a lot of these different companies are bowing out of the casino bids over the last few weeks and few months, and now it seems that Steve Cohen is probably going to get his casino in this park near Citi Field. Now, Citi Field is very much, it's in the middle of like nowhere. Shea was in the middle of nowhere, but it was great because you had all these intersections of the city going in there. With the Long Island Expressway, the Long Island Railroad, the Service Road, Roosevelt Avenue, the 7 train, so many ways to get into the Grand Central Parkway, the Van Wyck. There's so many ways to get into Citi Field, and obviously Shea. But they're going to build this casino, I think. It seems like that's going to happen. And there's been a lot of details. There have been concerns about what's going to happen when I have to go to the park. Where am I going to park the Hutmobile? Where am I going to park the Hutmobile when I go to Citi Field? Especially with this new project taking up space, which is basically a parking lot. But let me read you this article. I'm not going to give it credit now. Not going to say why. The details have emerged. One of the first questions many Mets fans have about the proposed Metropolitan Park project is simple. Where will I park? $8 billion projects plan to cover 50 acres of asphalt parking lots around Citi Field. Steve Cohen and Hard Rock International submitted a 366-page preliminary proposal Tuesday that answers that question with renderings of 3 multi-level parking structures that will be erected near Citi Field. The site is unlocked by relocating parking space from existing surface lots to new parking structures, according to the proposal. The Southfield parking structure will be 8 levels high and sit near Roosevelt Avenue and Seaver Way. The Northfield parking structure will be built over Shea Road and allow for a covered public walkway from Wills Point to Metropolitan Park. Taste the Queen structure will also include parking. Okay. Apart from parking, the proposal also provided many other new details. You will be able to stand in the grass in the same spot where the Beatles performed their iconic concert at Shea Stadium in 1965. Tulips, daffodils, and rutabaga, a heavy dose of the orange variety, will be in abundance. It was known the project would include 25 acres of public park space at a Hard Rock Hotel with a casino. The proposal revealed that the architectural design at the top of the hotel was made to look like the New York skyline found on the Mets logo. It was known there would be a live music venue called Hard Rock Live. The plan shows the Queen's Culture Walk to be integrated and into the side of the venue's facade. Cohen and Hard Rock went to make the area around Citi Field a year-round sports and entertainment district. Benches, pavings, and plantings will look similar to what is seen in other New York City landmark parks, like Central Park in Manhattan and Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Central Park has the great lawn. The park will have a 1-acre lawn roughly the size of Midtown Manhattan's Bryant Park, right where the Beatles performed at second base at Shea Stadium. Because Cohen's partner with Hard Rock, baseball and music will be celebrated in many ways. The paving design has the potential to incorporate elements inspired by Mets heritage, baseball uniform, pinstripes, and sheet music, according to the proposal. Interesting. There will be lots of blue and orange, which conveniently happens to be the color of the Mets, but the state of New York and 1939 New York's World's Fair held at Flushing Meadows Corona Park. I would love to see them do something with the park. Because you have all these structures there that are just getting old, and they got the globe there. I don't know why they just don't fix the park up better. Make it more modern. Some signage and topography will mimic the neon signs that were on the outside of Shea Stadium. Wow, that's cool. Roosevelt Avenue will have bike lanes, wider sidewalks, planters, and open spaces. Solar panels will be installed on the resort towers. A 14,200 square foot daycare and childcare center will be built for employees. The project includes community athletic fields, bike paths, pedestrian walkways, and a train station renovation. The aim is to connect Flushing Meadows Corona Park to Flushing Bay and a new Wills Point development, as well as the surrounding neighborhoods of Corona, East Elmhurst, and Flushing. Cohen's team gathered local input over 4 years, including 16 community workshops attended by other 1,800 residents. The Community Advisory Committee passed the plan on a 6-0 vote last month. The project needs one last approval from the State Gaming Commission for a gambling license. 3 projects are seeking licenses, and Commission can grant all 3, but it can also reject any or all of the proposals. The other 2 projects are Bally's Bronx and Resorts World and Queens, which are already electronic gaming sites seeking a full casino license. The Commission will vote in December. Construction could begin on Metropolitan Park as soon as January and is estimated to take 4 years. So Cohen could still lose this. And since there's already a casino in Jamaica, that's the Resorts World, they could still lose it to them. They can say, we already got a place in Resorts, which is in the southern part of Queens, not further south than Queens, while Obviously, Citi Field is in the north part of Queens. But what's interesting is that I had not seen these pictures. These are very interesting. I post them here. They're actually quite interesting to look at. Very much in tone to who the Mets are. Because one of the criticism, and a major criticism of Citi Field when it opened, was the fact that that it was more of a tribute to the Brooklyn Dodgers than it was for the New York Mets. And you walked into Citi Field, you walk into Dodger Town. You know, it was very little personality in terms of our connection to the ballpark. I mean, originally they had the home run apple in the back of the stadium. You couldn't even see it. You had to go by the bridge to see it because it was like all in the back of the ballpark. Thankfully, they were smart enough. You know, Wilpons got enough backlash that they decided to put the apple in as soon as you get off the train. Also, they're going to renovate the train station too, I believe, which has already been renovated, especially after Citi Field was built. They changed the entrance way. I mean, the one thing I did love about Shea Stadium is if you sat in the ballpark, you could see people getting off the train, going down that stairwell. That was actually cool to watch that. That was always cool to watch the game and see that, or be at the ballpark and watch that. You can't do that now. But that was the most fun thing to do. Citi Field has its things about it, but the one thing I loved about Shea was that it was open. You could see the buildings outside. At Citi Field, you can't see that. Unless you go into the outfield in the right field corner and a little bit in the left field corner, and if you sit behind in the club behind the plate, you can't see anything else. So you are kind of limited in what you can see. But once they start building up the area, it's going to have. I wonder how it's going to look from inside the ballpark, because they're going to be building a lot of stuff across Seaver Way, and all those construction and all those junkyards are going to be gone. I believe there was one resident. I don't know if that resident's still there, but there was a resident living there, believe it or not, in the middle of all that junk for a long time. But let me know what you think about this video. It's easy for me to say. Do a lot of videos, get a little tongue-tied. And of course, please send me super thanks. I don't know if anyone else does these kind of videos or talk about the ballpark in the area, but it means a lot to me because I spent a lot of time there growing up. And of course, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hub, where we talk about Mets prospects. We're going to go through a bunch of recaps, what happened in the minor leagues this year. And I'm going to start with the Brooklyn Cyclones. High A Brooklyn season recap. Cyclones win it all. The High A Brooklyn Cyclones, named for the Coney Island roller coaster, had a fitting year. Brooklyn rode a slew of quality prospects to a 46-20 record, and the top of the South Atlantic League in the first half. And after a short pause for the All-Star break and a bunch of promotions, plummeted near the bottom of the second half standings with a 26-39 mark. The High A playoffs put the winners of the first half against the second, so all that good work early in the season was rewarded with a playoff and postseason berth. Brooklyn took advantage, sweeping a pair of best-of-3 series en route to its first South Atlantic League title. The Cyclones won the Penn League titles in 2001 and in 2019. Carson Bench hit .302 with 4 home runs in 60 games. Jacob Reamer hit .284 with 8 homers in 61 games. Chris Sorrell hit .240 with 13 homers in 74 games, who, by the way, is hitting really well in the Arizona Fall League. And A.J. Ewing, who hit .288 with 44 steals in 78 games. And they've all led the offense. That quartet are all in the top 15 of MLB Pipeline's Met prospects. None were on the Cyclones for the playoffs because they all had been promoted. There were 2 top 30 prospects who spent all year with Brooklyn. Outfielder Eli Serrano III, who's 22, hit .222 with 7 homers and ended the season the Mets' 12th prospect on MLB Pipeline. Shortstop Boston Barrel, who's 21, hit .224 with 4 homers and 28 stolen bases. He's ranked 21st. On the mound, Brendan Gurton went 3-3 with a 2.59 ERA. 91 strikeouts and 76 in the third innings. Noah Hall went 5-7 with a 2.27 ERA with 115 strikeouts, 112 and 2/3 innings, and Joel Diaz went 5-5 with a 3.80 ERA with 98 strikeouts and 106 and 2/3 innings. Where the top three in games started. Gurton, a 2024 10th round pick from the University of Oklahoma, threw 5 perfect innings in June. He finished the year at Double-A Binghamton. Hall's 24 was there for the playoffs, throwing 4 1/3 innings of one-run ball in Brooklyn's 13-1 victory over the Hub City Spartanburgers in Game 1 of the championship series. Diaz was still around 2 and fired 6 2/3 scoreless frames in the 4-1 semifinals clinching win over the Greensboro Grasshoppers. Some other pitchers of note who suited up for the Cyclones, stats are their numbers in Brooklyn only. I'm just going to go through the names of the players. Will Watson, considered a high prospect, number 11 overall by MLB. Jonathan Santucci, another guy they drafted last year, second pick, from Duke, number 14. Dylan Ross, the Mets called up the last weekend of the season. He's number 20. He's a reliever. He walks a lot of batters, though. Ryan Lambert, another reliever, number 22, right-handed pitcher. Zach Thornton, a left-handed pitcher, number 23. R.J. Gordon, number 25. Thornton, a 23-year-old lefty, was the Sally Pitcher of the Month in April. After moving up to Binghamton, he went 3-2 with a 2.60 ERA. And 10 starts covering 52 innings, striking out 53 and walking 9. All of these pitchers were promoted. Ross, who features a fastball that was clocked at 102 miles per hour, reached the majors last weekend of the season, but did not appear in a game, which I thought was unfair. They did that to him. But this is kind of the overview. And, of course, I want to thank you for coming by. And please subscribe to the Prospect Hub. We're going to have all kinds of stuff here. So you got to keep aware of this. The off-season is here for the Mets. It's been here for the Mets for the last few weeks. But we're going to continue to do stuff here on this channel. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hub, where we talk about Mets prospects. I'm going to talk about here what happened in the Florida Complex League this season. And just an overview of things. And, of course, there are plenty of videos for you. So if you're a big Mets fan and you want to follow the Mets minor leagues, this is the channel for you. This is the only channel for you. And I find stuff all across the internet to bring you the best ideas and the best knowledge I can give you on the Mets farm system. Mets have the best farm system in baseball. They do. They've been ranked as such by particularly MLB.com and a few other publications say the Mets have it. So I read this stuff. I don't watch, I don't go to the minor leagues and watch the games, so I can't really give you my full assessment. Once I see the player, I can tell you. But here's from the Florida Complex League. Hurtado, Lantigua, and Guzman and Press. And, of course, please subscribe. Davio Hurtado threw 19 innings of one-run ball. Edwin Lantigua posted an .832 OPS, and Randy Guzman hit 7 home runs in 49 games. The 2025 Florida Complex League Mets weren't a success in the rookie ball standings, finishing in third place with a 25-28 record. But a number of prospects show promise that bodes well for their futures and hopefully the future in Queens. As you know, the Mets have a big farm system, like I said. Hurtado, a 20-year-old lefty from Cuba, struck out 25 and walked 5 on his way to posting a 0.47 ERA and a 0.68 WHIP. He was promoted to Low A St. Lucie, where he pitched to a 2.70 ERA over 46 2/3 innings. Other players who spent part of the season playing for the FCL Mets, he was the highest ranked on the latest top 50 prospect list, coming in at number 27. Here, after this, we can skip that. Lantigua, an 18-year-old outfielder from the Dominican Republic, hit 288 with a 433 on base percentage, 399 slugging percentage, showing a great eye, 33 bases on balls, and 194 plate appearances and 29 strikeouts. That's pretty good. He had 3 home runs and stole 13 bases, though he was caught stealing 10 times. Guzman of the Dominican Republic has shown tremendous improvement in his 3 years in the Mets system. In 2023, he hit 175 in 46 games in the DSL. That's Dominican Summer League. Last year, he had 209 in 21 DSL games. this season for the FCL Mets, he slashed .282 with .371 on base, .474 slugging percentage with the team leading 7 homers and 178 play appearances, and earned a promotion to St. Lucie, where he kept heading. He had a very good year, Guzman. And he was a player I did not hear about, but then I started reading different things about him, and he's had a very good season. In 26 games at low A, Guzman hit .333 with a .381 on base percentage and .604 slugging percentage, with 3 home runs, 13 doubles, and 2 triples and 105 plate appearances. Pitchers Jace Hampson, Jose Chirios, and Jose Guevara were also highly ranked. Hampson was an 18th round pick last year out of Linwood, Washington High School. The 20-year-old right-hander pitched to a 2.37 ERA over 38 innings, striking out 35 and walking 7. He was later promoted to St. Lucie, but only threw 4 innings there and gave up 3 runs. Chirinos struck out 22 and 15 in the 3rd innings and gave up 4 earned runs for the FCL Mets before moving up to St. Lucie. The 21-year-old Venezuelan right-hander went 5-2 with a 3.20 ERA and a 1.24 WHIP after the promotion, striking out 51 and 56 in the 3rd innings. Guevara, who's 20 of Venezuela as well, pitched to a 5.50 ERA over 34 in the 3rd innings, striking out 48 and walking 11. He struggled with his control after moving up to St. Lucie, walking 14 in 19 innings and posting a 7.58 ERA. You never know what's going to happen with pitchers and players in particular, but the pitchers tend to, if they improve, they can improve very quickly and go through the system much quicker than an everyday player. We saw that with Jonah Tong. So you let me know what you think about this video. I have plenty of videos on the Mets, prospects, and their farm system, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hut, and hopefully you like this video. We're going to talk about in this video, Mets prospects, but in particular the St. Lucie Mets and what kind of season they had. And they won the championship down in Florida. Here we go. So low A St. Lucie and what happened. Mets crowned first and second half champions. The St. Lucie Mets had a season for the record books, earning the title of both first half and second half champions at the Florida State League Eastern Division. It was just the second time in franchise history and the first time since 1989. Just the second year of the team being in St. Lucie. And that's when they accomplished the feat last. Wow. The first half of the year was a bit of a roller coaster for St. Lucie, finding most of their first half of success at the end of May. And in June, it made a big push in the first half in July when they took 5 of 6 from the Bradenton Marauders to end the first half of the season and clinched their spot in the postseason as first half champions of the FSL East. Coming out of the All-Star break, St. Lucie got off to a very hot start to the second half, winning 9 of their first 11 games in August. They either tied or won every series. Their success in the second half was enough to also win the division title again in the FSL East after claiming it in the first half. Fortunately, after a strong 77-53 season, St. Lucie's luck ran out in the first half of the postseason as the Daytona Tortugas, who had the most of the regular season, once again dominated the divisional series. Mets took game 1 4-2, but Tortugas took advantage of the Mets' offense going quiet to claim the last 2 games of the series, eliminating the Mets in heartbreaking fashion. St. Lucie's leaders at the plate, minimum 60 games, were right fielder Yohara Sebas, hit .278 with 12 doubles, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 50 walks, 11 stolen bases, 41 runs in 63 games. First baseman Trace Wilhoit, .265 with 13 doubles, 2 triples, 14 home runs, 66 RBIs, 47 walks, 14 stolen bases, 59 runs in 85 games. And center fielder Jonathan Enriquez, .264 batting average with 18 doubles, 2 triples, 8 home runs, 50 RBIs, 51 walks, 33 stolen bases. Wow. 59 runs scored in 104 games. And third baseman Colin Houck, .252 batting average, 14 doubles, 5 triples, 8 home runs, 38 RBIs, 33 walks, 11 stolen bases, 43 runs. All 4 players have been promoted prior to the 2025 FSL divisional round of playoffs. So if they had these players, they probably all would have, in all likelihood, have won the divisional series. Offensively, the Mets had a .245 batting average and 79 home runs. They combined for 282 stolen bases and had a single-game franchise record, 13 stolen bases during the season as well. Wow. 13 stolen bases in one game. Wow. The Mets pitchers moved around quite a bit in 2025, but it was Wellington Aracena, Irvin Cota, and Channing Austin that led the Mets pitching staff. Now, I would mention about Aracena, he got traded to Baltimore in that bad trade for Mullins. Jose Chirinos was also leader on the mound for the St. Lucie. Through 56 and a third innings, he was 5-2 with 51 strikeouts. He was on the mound for St. Lucie in Game 1 of the playoffs. Down 5 scoreless innings, giving up just 2 hits and striking out 4. The Mets pitching in total had 633 strikeouts with a 3.59 ERA, which is best in the Florida State League. By the end of 2025, 29 players were promoted from St. Lucie to Brooklyn. So this team certainly took a hit in terms of, at the end of the season. If they had all these players, they probably would have won the championship there. Very unfortunate, but that's what happens. That's the story. Well, thank you for watching this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hut. We're going to talk about Mets prospects, and in this video, we're going to talk about the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, who were probably the best Mets minor league team, and they won the championship in the Eastern League. The 2025 season was one to remember for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. Most wins in Rumble Ponies history, most wins in Mets AA history, best record in AA, Eastern League champions. Most importantly, develop and graduate several successful prospects to Syracuse and New York. The Binghamton Rumble Ponies finished each year, half of the year, with 45 wins to finish the year at 1946, the best record for any year in Mets AA affiliate history. The record produced the Northeastern Division title in both halves of the year and the 4th Eastern League title in franchise history. After ending the regular season on top, the Rumble Ponies continued to dominate in the playoffs by sweeping the Somerset Patriots, which is the affiliate for the Yankees, the AA affiliate of the Yankees. And this is, of course, the Rumble Ponies are the AA affiliate of the Mets in the semifinals and defeated the Erie Seawolves in 3 games to capture the team's first Eastern League championship since 2014. This was the same playoff path taken in 2023. However, this time, the Rumble Ponies defeated Erie in a revenge match to win the title. Throughout the year, this team was loaded with top prospects up and down the lineup, led by Jet Williams and Ryan Clifford. Williams, in a bounce-back year from an injury-riddled 2024, put on a spectacular season in Binghamton, hitting .281 with a .390 on base, .477 slug, with 10 home runs and 32 stolen bases before being promoted to Syracuse. Clifford continued his ascension towards an impact power bat in the major leagues, slugging a leading 24 homers while walking 63 times before being promoted with Williams to Syracuse. Carson Benj, despite only playing 32 games in Binghamton, continues his meteoric rise among prospect lists by producing a whopping .317 batting average, .978 OPS, and 8 home runs. While the big 3, quote-unquote, prospects all showed plenty of promise at the plate, Jacob Reamer, A.J. Ewan, and Chris Suaro were all called up during the year and played major parts in the championship run. A note on Chris Suaro: he is dominating Arizona Fall League. He's a guy you want to keep an eye on. He could be moved in a trade. He's a guy who can play behind the plate. He can play first. He can play the outfield. He's very versatile. More importantly, he can play behind the plate. He's good to catcher. Reamer, at age 21, finished the 25 season at Binghamton after being promoted from Brooklyn in June with an .853 OPS and 9 home runs in 61 games. Reamer did hit 3 home runs in a game on the road. It's very difficult to hit home runs in Brooklyn. Reamer's great power and a good eye at the plate. He was one of 2 Eastern League third basemen to post a walk rate of at least 10% and isolated power of 200. With the corner infield position and certainty at the MLB level, Reamer hopes to fill a major league need in the near future. Though his defense will be his biggest question mark moving forward. Oh boy. Ewan, a 4th round pick in 2023, has a unique combination of speed, bat skills, and defense that earned 2 promotions this year. Ewan is 21, finished the year hitting .339 with a .371 on base, .430 slugging percentage, good for an .801 OPS, with 7 doubles and 12 stolen bases in 28 games at Binghamton. He drove in 9 runs while scoring 20 of his own from the top of the batting order in 2025. While Ewan will likely never become a power guy, he still needs some time to add a little bit of power to his game and ability to draw more walks. His 5.3 walks percentage was the second lowest of any Binghamton player with at least 100 plate appearances. So he needs a little seasoning. Suarez, for his part, has shown great development in the last 2 seasons. It's spent the majority of the year in Brooklyn. This prospect batted .221 with a .698 OPS. The former international free agent hit 3 home runs, drove in 17 runs, and added 29 walks in 41 games for the Rumble Ponies, while playing catcher, first, and left. At 21 years old, Suarez's 16.7 walk percentage was good for 4th in the league. In the Eastern League for batters with a minimum of 150 at-bats. Suarez's defensive versatility and speed, 35 steals across all levels this year, are real strengths. Interesting. Let's go over the pitching. The Rumble Ponies lineup was not the only reason for their major success. In 2025, Binghamton used dominant pitching from several key contributors to run to the Eastern League. Binghamton led the Eastern League in ERA, strikeouts, and whip, while walking the fewest hitters in the league. This level of dominance was showcased by recording the first combined perfect game in franchise history. Jonah Tong and Jack Winninger were workhorses for the Rumble Ponies. Before getting called up to AAA and eventually the Mets, Jonah Tong posted a ridiculous 162 strikeouts at 102 innings. Opposing hitters batted .143 off of Tong over 20 starts. Winninger took a massive step forward in 2025 after having an up-and-down 2024. Winninger capped off his fantastic 25, which he spent entirely with bingo, with 2 great playoff starts against Somerset and Erie. He posted 2.92 ERA over 135 2/3 innings and 147 strikeouts. He planted his flag as the best Mets prospect outside of Tong and Nolan McLean and Brandon Sprout. John Santucci took an important step in his development to be part of the next crop of young pitching talent in the Mets system. The most important aspect of development was the reduction in walks. Santucci struggled with control in college, posting a career 5.0 walks per 9 innings and 5.6 walks per 9 in his senior year. These numbers will never play at a major league level, so Santucci posted a 3.2 walks per 9 innings at Binghamton is very encouraging for his future. The Rumble Ponies bullpen was led by T.J. Shook, Carlos Guzman, and Ryan Lambert, and Jonathan Pintaro. Lambert, a 2024 8th-round pick out of Missouri State, had a fantastic first full season professionally in the system. At their great start in Brooklyn, he was called up to Binghamton and struck out 64 batters over 42 innings. Lambert is a name that should be watched for Mets fans. It's a bullpen option in the near future. Well, that's good. Very good. And here's some of the prospects of the Mets. These are ranked baseball. These are the prospects the Mets had down there. Jet Williams, Jonah Tong, Jacob Reimer, Ryan Clifford, Jack Winninger, Jonathan Santucci, Chris Suarez, Nick Morabito, who's also in the Arizona Fall League, he's tearing it up, Jonathan Pintaro, Ryan Lambert, and of course Douglas Orellana. Well, you'll let me know what you think about this video. And this is we're going to go do a lot of stuff here. So this is the channel you want to watch and subscribe to and watch the entirety of the videos here. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We're talking about Mets prospect, and this player is a prospect that we've sort of forgotten about, I think, because of the success, and it's been over a year, the success of guys like Jonah Tong, Brandon Sprout, and of course Nolan McLean, and that's Christian Scott, who was the Mets' best prospect as a pitcher coming into 2024, and pitched in the majors, but then he hurt his arm and had to get Tommy John surgery. Well, he missed all of this year, all 2025, and he's doing his rehab. And the rehab process is beginning to come to an end. It's been over a year since he had that surgery. And in all likelihood, he should be ready for spring training, barring any kind of issues. Now I have this interview, I guess, he gave. This is from SNY. Mets Christian Scott talks health, tinkering of changeup as rehab process nears end. This was a kid that had tremendous control in the minor leagues. Didn't walk a lot of batters. He struggled with his command when he got to the Mets. I would think that had a lot to do with the pitching coach, but you never know. It might be because he was having issues with his elbow. I know what I've needed to work on to improve my game. Well, he's got to stay healthy. It's the number one thing. With the emergence of young hurlers like Nolan McLean, Brandon Sprout, and Jonah Tong, Mets fans would be forgiven if they forgot about young right-hander Christian Scott. But Scott is nearing a return and has been working on a few new tricks. In a phone interview with The Athletic's Will Salmon, the 26-year-old spoke about his rehab process and how he feels he nears the end. Florida product is set to pitch his final live bullpen session on Tuesday. It'll be his fourth time facing live batters and his second go-around on a 5-day schedule. So far, Scott is doing well as his rehab from Tommy John surgery and internal brace procedure he had last year. Quote, it's going really smoothly, Scott said. I haven't really had any setbacks or had anything that's really come up at all. I've looked back to the 9 games I've pitched in the big leagues and know what I need to work on to improve my game. Scott was called up twice in 2024. His first stint with the Mets came in late May, where he made 5 starts and pitched to a 3.90 ERA. Heading back to Syracuse, the Mets called Scott up again in early July, and it looked like the team was set to give him a shot to stay in the rotation. He made 4 starts and struggled, allowing 12 runs across 19 2/3 innings before he was placed in the IL with UCL sprain, ending the season. Scott finished with a 4.56 ERA and 1.20 WHIP. Went under the knife in September, and he's been rehabbing ever since. While Scott, as he puts it, found a good middle ground on working on his stuff and making sure he stays healthy, he's excited for the ways he's trying to improve. According to Scott, he's tinkered with his changeup, a pitch he hopes can help him get left-handers out. Scott used a split-finger fastball when he threw his changeup, but is now using a traditional grip. In 2024, he threw the split 17% of the time to left-handers, but those batters produced a .333 batting average and a .942 OPS, as opposed to a .167 average and a .532 OPS against righties. The in-zone percentage just wasn't good enough with the split finger before he got hurt. Just being able to have a pitch that's in the zone a little bit more and also moves a little bit better in theory is going to help me get more outs against left-handed hitters. Scott also acknowledged that he needs to pound the strike zone of his fastball and not get behind counts, and we're going to be more aggressive and consistent in that department. On the subject of his fastball, Scott told The Athletic that it is average 94 miles per hour, which was his average velocity in 24, but has flashed 96 miles per hour during his bullpen sessions. How consistent he can get his fastball to 96 won't be determined until he gets to games, but says feeling really great right now. A promising update from Scott as the Mets look to brush away the failure of the 25 season. A fast start was upended by inconsistent starting pitching and a bullpen that ran out of gas by the end of the season. Perhaps Scott will play a part in the 26 Mets, whose starting rotation is in flux when healthy. Aside from the 3 young phenoms, the Mets have Clay Holmes, Kodai Senga, Shohei Knight, and David Peterson that they can run out of any given day, but Scott could be a depth piece to help them get through the season the same way that Tyler McGill and Paul Blackburn were in recent years. But first and foremost, Scott looks to complete his rehab and be ready for spring training. Then it'll be up to the Mets to put the pieces of their rotation together and figure out how much Scott can contribute in 26. Don't expect them to do that. That's not fair. The best thing the Mets can do is just let him pitch. Let him stay healthy. Let him pitch in the minor leagues. If he pitches well to the point where he could be here, fine. If he has a spot in the minor, you don't want to push him in terms of innings. Just get him to make his starts every 5th day, and you'll be in good shape. Now, going through this rotation, I would not rely on Kodai Senga. I would not rely on Shohei Knight. Shohei Knight has a history, which is much larger than the 2 months he pitched and the postseason he pitched last year. Clay Holmes, you could possibly move him to another team, or you could put him in the bullpen as the closer if you have to, if you want to. Tyler McGill, hurt his arm. He's gone. So he's going to be out the whole year. Paul Blackburn, let's get rid of him. That was a wasted trade. David Peterson's coming. He's going to be in his walk year. Do you want to give him a 3 or 4 year deal? I wouldn't do that. But do you move him for a pitcher that you could use that could be at the top of your rotation? Do you put him in a Tarek Skubal trade? You could think about that. I wouldn't say no to that. Well, let me know what you think about this video. And of course, we wish Christian Scott luck. I want to see him pitch again, and maybe he'll have a better result. It can't be any worse than the way he pitched. He was very much having a tough time throwing strikes once he got here. And this was a kid that was known for throwing strikes in the minor leagues. That is part of also the rehab process too. There's a lot of times these guys come back and they have trouble with their command and their control to a certain degree. So, thank you for watching this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. So, the Toronto Blue Jays defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers 11-4. Addison Barger came in the 6th inning and hit a grand slam. It was the first grand slam by a pinch hitter in the history of the World Series. Just an amazing statistic. And they scored 9 runs in the 6th inning. The Dodgers pitching was dreadful in that inning. They worked Blake Snell throughout the game. They had his pitch count up, and then they jumped on him, and they jumped on that bullpen. And, of course, like I said, Blue Jays take the first game of the World Series. And it was interesting at the end of this game, Shohei Ohtani, who was shown to be a terrible base runner, almost got picked off the end of the game. We saw that last year against New York Mets, how poor of a base runner he is in baseball. But in the first game, it was a close game. That's the amazing thing about this game. This was a close game up until the 6th inning, and then the Blue Jays offense, which is very strong, just unloaded on the Dodgers pitching. So we'll see what happens in Game 2. Let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2, and I'll see you later. Hi everybody, this is the Football Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Football Hut, and hopefully you like this video. And of course, hit that subscribe button. So it seems that the NBA has a problem. They have a big problem right now, folks. Probably one of the biggest scandals we've seen here in the NBA in a long time, and in sports in a long time. This involves gambling. This involves players, current players, a coach, a Hall of Fame player. And it's ironic because the NBA came back on Wednesday, NBA on NBC. And who was one of the main people they had to promote it? Well, funny you should ask. Michael Jordan, who left the NBA because he was dealing with all kinds of gambling problems, and he left for a year, and then they had to bring him back. But he's going to play baseball for a year. Had a major problem. They told him, get the hell out of here because you're going to be revealed as a gambling degenerate. We can't have that. So he had to leave for about a year until they cleaned things up, calmed things down behind the scenes. But this was a major thing that happened today. We had a press conference by the director of the FBI. And what's interesting about this, and really says a lot, is that ESPN, the authority on sports entertainment, sports news, took them 4 hours to do a serious news segment 4 hours later. And then we have weird takes by Stephen A. Smith. I would mention Stephen A. Smith. Just because he talks a lot doesn't mean that what he says has any value. He talks a lot, and you know what the hell he's talking about. He's blaming President Trump for that whole situation, when the reality is this was going on for a long time with this particular player, this Rozier, and this poker game. This has been going on. They have been concerned since 2019. There were concerns about this in 2023. Rozier was under investigation in January before Trump came back into office. I have a couple of articles, and we'll go over this. I did this on the Baseball too. But this also involves, this video is Boomer Esiason, or Norman Esiason. He had some thoughts on a football game. Because I haven't even mentioned the coaches. We mentioned coach, but we have not mentioned the officiating and the umpires and these referees that are in all these different sports. You know, the umpires in baseball are doing this nonsense, just like of course We saw this in the NBA. We saw this last year, actually, in Major League Baseball. But here we have from Outkick. I have one article from Outkick and one from Awful Announcing. NBA's Billups Rozier arrested an FBI probe involving alleged prop bets, poker rings, and the mob. And when we talk about the mob here, we're talking about, Tony Soprano, Michael Corleone type mafioso. But the ones in New York, the real ones. Officials detailed the cheating allegations and pending charges at a press conference. Basketball Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, and former player and coach Damon Jones were among more than 30 individuals, 34 in total, arrested Thursday morning and indicted in a sweeping criminal investigation into alleged illegal gambling and sports rigging that also involved 4 of the 5 mafia families. And there's also word that other players in the NBA are going to be involved. Understand there could be some big names possibly involved in who it is. It's hard to say. I don't know. The charges were unveiled at a news conference in Brooklyn where FBI Director Kash Patel, and I've heard he could be in trouble, folks, losing his job. And representatives from the Department of Justice and New York Police Department laid out details of an operation that spanned 11 states. 34 arrests in 11 states. It resulted in 34 arrests and involved tens of millions of dollars. The FBI director said the historic fraud included multiple NBA players and coaches who alleged took advantage of their own position of power to rig gambling systems for their own benefit, eventually funneling money to La Cosa Nostra, enriching some of the most notorious criminal networks in the world, end quote. Billups, the current coach of the Portland Trailblazers, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, and Jones allegedly participated in a scheme involving rigged illegal poker games. They face charges of wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy. Federal authorities launched an investigation dubbed Operation Zen Diagram into a nationwide gambling ring allegedly involving members of the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese families, which allegedly defrauded victims out of millions of dollars. As you know, the Gambino crime family is famous for John Gotti. And these criminal families, these mafia families, have been around for over 100 years. Been around way long before the Prohibition. The FBI said the proceeds were often converted into cryptocurrency to avoid being detected by law enforcement. Officials stated that poker games involved cheating devices such as rigged shuffling machines as well as x-ray machines that could read face-down cards on the table, and also involved like x-ray specs. Not joking, not kidding. Operation Zen Diagram overlapped with a separate investigation dubbed Nothing But Bet, involving a probe into fixed NCAA basketball games. Rozier's arrest is tied to gambling involving NBA games during which he allegedly manipulated his statistics so co-conspirators could win prop bets. During a Thursday press conference, New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch presented one alleged instance involving Rozier from March of 2023 when he was a member of the Charlotte Hornets. Rozier let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wages on his under statistics. Wow. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash. Rozier and 5 other defendants are facing charges of conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. Jones, along with his alleged involvement in the separate poker scheme case, was also indicted as part of the sports rigging investigation. He's alleged to have shared inside non-public information to help others place fraudulent bets. It's just insane. And let me get you this other article. This is from WFAN. I guess this was from earlier in the morning, before all this stuff came out about this whole situation with the NBA. This from Awful Nancy. Boomer Esiason wins the infamous Rams Saints no call was fixed by the referee. I think of that game, I really do wonder. After Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested as part of a federal investigation into illegal gambling. It made Boomer Esiason wonder about possible fixed NFL games. The NBA woke up to earth-shattering news Thursday morning with Rozier and Billups arrested in separate sports betting probes. Rozier, who was previously investigated for possibly manipulating his performance during a 2023 NBA game, was arrested Thursday morning at a hotel in Orlando, where the Heat lost their season opener to the Magic. Well, the magic trick was that Rozier got arrested. Billups was arrested in Oregon when ABC News reports was part of a separate but related betting case. According to ABC News, Billups was charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. Oh my God. While discussing the bombshell NBA story Thursday morning on WFAN, Gregory Giannotti noted how it might be easier to catch a player in a betting scandal because large amounts of money being wagered on prop bets could be a red flag. Giannotti, however, believed it's harder to prove if an official is fixing games. Now, I would mention this, and it just came to my mind. A way to sort of get around the betting. So if you're a player, say Shohei Ohtani, placing bets, you could get somebody to do it for you. And do it on their phone instead of your phone. And try to figure out a way where you could share your financials with them. That's a possibility. Because we know the money that the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani spent. Ohtani's money, not his money. He couldn't afford those bets. Quote, I just think Rams Saints, Giannotti's co-host, Norman Esiason, quickly interjected. I think of that game, and I really do wonder. Now, he is a guy that works for the NFL, as a commentator, and he's been in the NFL. Esiason is referring to the Los Angeles Rams beating the New Orleans Saints 26-23 in the NFC Championship game from January 20, 2019, which is widely known for a controversial non-call. With the game tied at 20 late in the fourth quarter, New Orleans had to settle for a field goal after an obvious pass interference that would have extended the drive was not called. If the flag was thrown, the Saints could have scored a touchdown or ran the clock out before kicking a field goal. Instead, they settled for a field goal with time left. The Rams tied it and won overtime to go to the Super Bowl. It was widely known as one of the most missed pass interferences in NFL history. And Boomer Esiason appears to wonder if there was something more behind the no call. I'm not aware of this no call. I was gone from the football for a long time. The NFL has never publicly stated that they believe the game may have been fixed. It was just a terrible timing for a terrible no call. But the more leagues continue down the path of embracing sports betting and partnerships with sports books, the more credence it will give to fixing conspiracies. And there's nothing more dangerous to the success of these leagues than scandals that can ruin their integrity. It's one thing for the Saints fan to feel like the game may have been fixed, but this is a former NFL MVP, NFLPA rep, and longtime broadcaster putting up a red flag. That is for sure. Now, I would mention this in Major League Baseball. We recently had a umpire who was considered the worst umpire in history of baseball. That was Angel Hernandez. And I always thought in the back of my mind that all the calls that he made wasn't because he was incompetent, but because, something was up, So, that doesn't surprise me. We know that in the NBA, there have been scandals of referees involved with the gambling. But to see the level of what happened today in the NBA, just incredible. And the NFL, obviously, they probably have the bigger problem than probably the NBA does. And, of course, Major League Baseball, because they have more players. They have more employees per team, I would believe, that are on the field, that are in the locker room. And I'm sure a lot of them are, they're not all Saints. They're not all going to Sunday school. They're not all going to Sunday Mass. They're not praying every day. They're not doing the right thing. So a lot, and I said in the video on the baseball hut too, that if you're involved with all this kind of stuff, you already have the ability to be, the wherewithal to be a criminal. Chauncey Phillips, if this is true, is a criminal because this is criminal activity. The same thing with Rozier. This isn't like this attitude of, you have a sickness. This is actually putting things over on people. You're trying to steal money out of their pockets. These guys are criminals. If they weren't in the NBA, if they weren't athletes, they'd be doing something somewhere else in society with some kind of grift or some kind of crime. So just because they're involved in sports, don't underestimate the idea that makes them better people or anything. They're already involved in supposed criminal activity. So in all likelihood, these people are criminals, and nobody wants to admit to the fact that they are. They just want to say, well, they have a sickness. I know Craig Carter said, they have a sickness. No, this kind of behavior is criminal behavior. But you'll never have to worry about me getting involved with this kind of gambling stuff because I don't like that stuff. And I think it's wrong. But thank you for watching this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Football Hut. And I'll see you later.